I was experimenting with like the golden ratio and like 7 columns and like 12 columns, all these different grids. How would you go about picking the grid for a project that fits the content? If that makes sense.
Yeah, good question. I don't think, okay, there's a lot to be made about grids. And I think in some cases, people ignore them and some people worship them. And I don't think either is totally right. I think it's usually somewhere in between. Now, I'm going to show you how to deal with this grid thing here. So this is a Fibonacci sequence, and the Fibonacci sequence is fantastic as a grid that's very dynamic. And I want to show you how to do that. I want to repeat this across, and the easiest way to repeat it is to grab this and then just go like this and hit that and then hit Command D. It just duplicates it. Hopefully I've done this right so that it's correct. Like it's not misaligned. There we go. So the Fibonacci sequence says you take two numbers and then you add it, and that equals the second number or the third number in the sequence. So it's 1, and these are the two numbers you start out with. Okay. So you add up those two numbers and it'll equal 2. You add up 1 and 2, it'll equals 3. And then 2 and 3 equals 5. 3 and 5 equals 8. And 8 and 5 equals 13. And 13 and 8 equals 21. And that's your Fibonacci sequence, okay? Now, this number, there's some very special things about this number sequence that was discovered. And so what we can do is we can use that. So I'm going to take all these things. I'm going to move it down. And I'm going to move it here, right? So 1, 1, and then I'm going to do 2. So let me hit this so you can see a little bit better. And then 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's as far as I can go because I'm going to run out of space. So if you look at this ratio of blue blocks here, you'll see that it's actually very dynamic. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, right? And we can leave the rest alone. And it's going to make sense in a little bit, not just yet. So if I scale this up, holding down shift, oops, I need to drop the anchor point right here, hold down shift, and make it fit on this page. Okay, if I were doing this like it mattered, like I got paid for this, I would spend a little bit more time working on this than now. And then I'm going to bring on my guides and hit Command R to bring the rulers out. And I'm going to snap it to that point. Can you guys see the guideline right there? I can go and change this color here. I like a less obnoxious, like really brilliant blue guide because it's overpowering sometimes. And then I'm going to do lines so you can see it very clearly now. Okay, you see that guide? So that's 1, 1, right? So I'm going to do it again. Snap it to this and just keep going. I'm sure somebody knows a faster way of doing this. I'm not that person today. Okay, so if I grab all these things now, I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. I lost a piece. Let me group this. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this. Now I could start this. This is kind of like the decision that you have to make as a designer as to where this grid wants to start. And it's just something to help you, not something to enslave you, okay? Let's say like I like where this starts here. So now I'm going to pull grid lines down here. Everybody's following me so far? And when I start using this grid, you'll start to see like, wow, that's really how you use it. So I'm going to flip it using the mirroring tool, which is keyboard shortcut O, and holding down Option as I click on this, it'll flip it upside down. Okay. Now I can also pull this grid so it could start here. So it repeats that direction, or I could do it like repeating here, but I think I'm going to try it here. All right. Everybody see the grid? Now I'm going to put this somewhere else. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add bounding boxes or grid lines for the page itself. Okay, there we are. So there's your grid. This is a Fibonacci grid, arbitrarily decided on the horizontal axis here. And you can see that. Now, if I were to place typography in these boxes and use this to govern how I'm going to do a layout, I'm going to show you, okay? So I'm going to switch my color now back to black. All right, I got black ink. So I were to draw a box. So the rule of using the grid is this, is that the first thing that you put on a page is arbitrary. It's the only thing that's arbitrary at that point. So why is it snapping to it? Okay, I'm going to put something down right here. Okay, that's the first thing. That's it. Now you have to make decisions based on that one thing that you put on the page. So if I say like, I want something to relate to that, I may want to create something here. And I want to create something down here. Okay, so this is how you use the grid system so that you can create dynamically proportionate things that kind of feel related to each other. And as soon as I add or change one element on here, it impacts the layout, the feeling of the layout. And if it feels off balance, then this first thing that was arbitrary needs to move. And this is the push and pull of typography and design. You put down that one dot, now you kind of have to move things around to make it work within that. So this will also teach you things like this. I'm going to show you something. Let me move this out of the way. Let me just delete that. You could take this sucker and you could put it over here. So I'm going to hide this right now. You can see like this will be related to this. This is related to that. This is not a terribly interesting layout. And this is to remind you, just because you use a grid doesn't mean it's good. It's just a starting point for us to work.
If you want to learn more about typography, you can check out the typography critiques that we're doing right here on the Future Academy channel. And if you really want to dive deep, we have a typography course that you can find on our website, thefuture.com. Enrolling in the course also gives you the opportunity to submit your work for any live critiques conducted by Christo.